Yo, what's good, creatives? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm gonna be showing you how I actually color grade videos because a lot of people have been asking me how to use my Creative Ryan LUT. And yes, we will be using my Creative Ryan LUT today, but we'll also be going over how I do some basic adjustments on Canon log footage and Sony log footage just to help some people out. All right, so right here, typically I shoot in a neutral picture profile when I use my Creative Ryan LUT on like vlogs and stuff. And I know that's a look that a lot of people have been asking me about and how I achieve that. Basically, I just shoot neutral picture profile, as you can see, where it's not log, it has contrast, it has saturation and stuff already in it. It is neutral, so it's not as saturated, and then I apply my LUT. So I'll do that real quick. So basically all you do is, and you can do this in any program, you just find out how to add a LUT to it. You come here, custom LUT, drag it on top of it, and then you come here, boom, and you apply the LUT. And then I always go about 0.65. And this honestly looks a little too harsh right here. So what I would do is open up the Windows workspace coloring, come here, add a color wheel to it, and kind of play around with it and adjust it. Bring the blacks up a little bit so it's a little bit softer. Bring the midtones up a little bit because it is super contrasty. The whites are blown, but I kind of like that. And then I'll come to the global, which is the all around exposure and saturation. And I'll bring up the saturation just a tad bit just to get those skin tones to pop out. And that's typically all I do when I'm color grading like a vlog or something like that using my Creative Ryan LUT. And as you can see, it looks good. It's just super contrasty. The blacks are really black, the whites are really white. I kind of adjusted it a little bit, but for the most part, that's exactly what I do when I'm coloring a vlog. All right, let's get into the juicy stuff. I know y'all want to know how to use it with log footage. First of all, you have to shoot in the right white balance. So make sure your camera is set to the right white balance depending on where you are, whether it's a gray day and it's cloudy, or it's super sunny, or you're inside and the tungsten lights in your crib are blasting, whatever the case may be. Make sure your white balance is right. You want the whites to be as white as possible. Okay, so here we have a clip. This is Canon C-Log or C-Log 3. I don't remember which one, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I color grade it and then apply my LUT. So first you wanna bring back the exposure and the saturation. So I just use a simple color wheel, and then basically I look over here at this waveform. 0 is pure black, and then 100 is pure white. So I wanna bring that contrast back into it. So if you lower the blacks down, you see that line's coming close to the 0. I don't put it all the way at 0. I bring it to about, I don't know, probably like 5, a little above it. Then you come to the highlights and you want to push those highlights up as well. I don't want the whites to be completely white because it's super blown on the right side of this clip. But as you can see right here is kind of the whites on my face, and I want to keep that around about 75. So about right there looks good to me. And there you go. You toggle that off, back on, the contrast is there as if it was like a neutral clip, but it's probably a little bit softer and looks a little bit better because we shot log. We got a little bit more detail. Then you can come over here and bring the saturation of your clip up just a tad bit. It looks pretty good. Now we just want to apply the stylistic look. Bring in the LUT and we're going to add it. Creative Ryan LUT 0.65, and there you go. It looks really good, actually. I like the way this looks. That's it. Log footage off, it's log. On, there's a nice color grade with my Creative Ryan LUT applied, and it gives those same little bits of color and contrast spike with my Creative Ryan LUT. I love the way this looks. I would even say, let's see, come back to the color wheel, and I would probably bring the blacks up just a tad bit just to make it a little bit more softer and see a little bit more detail in my shirt and stuff right there. But for the most part, that looks pretty good. Personally, I'd probably bring down the midtones just a little bit. I like my stuff to be dark and moody, and that's just how I do it. That looks good. From Canon log or C-Log 3, I think it's log, to that looks good. All right, now let me show you how I do it on Sony S-Log 2 footage, because a lot of Sony users have hit me like, the Creative Ryan LUT is not giving me the same look. Please do a tutorial on how to color grade the Sony footage. So here we are. We have a Sony S-Log clip. I did rent out 2 Sonys, the FX3 and the A7S3 recently, and I vlogged with it and I made some videos, and I will put those out soon talking about that Sony or those Sony cameras and their lenses. But I have not yet to edit that. But let's dive in real quick. And it's the same method, basically the same exact thing. Let's find a clip or a screen grab that I like. All right, boom, there's a screen grab that I like. Let's dive straight into it and get the color wheels out. We're gonna do the same exact thing. We're gonna bring the contrast back into this S-Log flat washed out footage. Bring those blacks down right above the 0 line. Looks good. Bring those whites up. You can see right here is like my skin tone and stuff. So we're gonna push those to about 75. It's okay if these whites back here on these neon lights are blown out past the 100, as long as the skin tone is sitting around 75 and it's not too blown out. Come here, we're gonna bring in some saturation. Those colors look kind of funky. Oh man, you gotta do some work. All right, drop the LUT on there. Boom, and then 0.65. And this looks super washed out, I'm not gonna lie. All right, so now you gotta do a little bit of fine tuning to get it where you wanna get it if you are using Sony. So we're gonna come here, we're gonna bring those whites back down a little bit, or those highlights, shadows. We're gonna drop the shadows a little bit more to make it a little bit more contrasty. Midtones a little bit more. We're gonna boost this saturation up a little bit. It looks like my skin tone is a little bit like washed and yellowish, and we're gonna try to fix that right now. We're gonna come in here and we're gonna grab a hue saturation curve, and we're just gonna get this dropper, drop it on my skin tone, and then bring a little bit of red into the skin tone. We're gonna click the dropper on the hue Luma. We're gonna drop that down just a little bit just to bring some more detail into the skin tones. And boom, just like that. That looks pretty good. Come back here, cut everything off to go back to the S-Log 2 washed out footage. Apply the color wheel, the LUT, and then the color hue adjustments. And then there we go. I think that looks really good. This Sony footage is really, really sharp and clear. I love it. Looks good. So there you go. So neutral footage, you see what I do. Canon log footage, see what I do. And then boom, the Sony footage, you see what I do. It's basic. You just bring back the contrast, add a little saturation, and then drop that LUT on top of it. If you choose to grab this LUT, this is my personal LUT that I use on almost every video that I make, unless I color it from scratch, which I do sometimes, but typically I use this Creative Ryan LUT. There's a link down below if you want to go pick it up. It's totally up to you. By no means do you have to go get it at all. You can simply color grade without it. It just adds a punch of that contrast. It changes the colors a little bit to the colors that I like. I love it. So that's it. I hope that helped you. If it did help you, make sure you slap the like button. Drop me a comment down below if I went a little bit too fast, or you have any type of questions about the LUT or this color grading process, and I'll try to get back to them as soon as I can. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Let me know if you want something specific down below too, and I'll see if I can make it. All right, peace.